Is the camera picking that up? Is the camera picking that up? Okay, so see there, see? Anybody that lives in Scotland, it's not got any money, can tell you what that stuff is. The room isn't soundproofed enough. So what I did was ripped all the phone insulation back up, bought some cheap plasterboard from Gumtree, cut it into sections. The roof internally is already double skinned, and now I've added another 2 or 3 layers of plasterboard on top of it. So that's now went 12, 25, 25 and 12, 37 and a half. So there should be 5 centimetres of plasterboard. Then we're going to have the rubber matting. That stuff there. Sitting on top of the plasterboard. Foam goes back in. Then the big wooden boards go back down and give us a floor. However, the way I did it was mixed up great big pots of plaster. Poured the plaster down on top of the existing plasterboard. Then put the chopped up sections of plasterboard on top of the wet plaster. Poured another layer of wet plaster in that. Stuck another plasterboard section on top of that. Then covered the lot of it, as you can see there, with more plaster. Problem is, it took so long to dry. Scotland's a damp country anyway. It took so long to dry that this mould has appeared on the top of it. So, what have I done? I've wiped the mould down, painted white paint over the top of it. I'll give it a day or two to see if it comes back, but I'm hoping that's going to work as some kind of sealer to stop any more mould building up before I put the rubber mats back down. Then the foam. Will it work? We'll know soon enough. The other issue that I'm having that I didn't think about is the room is so airtight that there's no airflow into it. So I'm going to have to get a couple of fans. I'll put one down there, put one at the opposite end of the room. One will blow air in, one will suck air out. But that gives you another problem, doesn't it? I've got a very, very airtight room. I'm in a workshop. If I cut holes through the roof, I am going to allow noise from the workshop to come into the room. So I went online, had a look at a few YouTube videos. There's a way of doing it. I imagine this is a 8x4 foot sheet, or imagine it's some kind of sheet. So there'll be a lid going on top of that, right? A wooden lid. You make a hole at one end, a hole at the other end. Then you put wooden baffles in them, alternately. Then on top of the wooden baffles you put sound insulation. And the idea is the hole at this end. So you make a big wooden box that will sit at that side. Suck clean air in through there, then it'll go through the matrix. It's covered in sound deadening, so the air comes in, gets sucked up, goes round, down into the room, and that acts as a acoustical baffle to stop the workshop noise coming into the recording space. You do the same thing at the other side of the room, but that one blows air up out through the matrix, the baffle, and exhausts the stale air out that end. Something that I hadn't thought about until I got my mould problem, and you spend a bit of time in the room, it heats up great, even without the, saying that temperatures in Scotland are still pretty good, even without the insulation down, the room does seem to hold heat quite well. That kind of makes sense, doesn't it? There's 5 centimetres of plasterboard on top of it. But to have a decent working environment, if there's 3 people in there, it's amazing how quickly it heats up. I have did a good job with putting strips around about doors, double doors everywhere, double plasterboard inside, using mastic everywhere to seal up any air gaps and all that type of stuff. So be aware. In a listening room or a recording studio environment, you need it airtight, but then you get stale air building up. Imagine it was a room with a drummer and the guys get really sweaty and they farts a couple of times. Can you say fart on YouTube? And there's no air movement in the room. The moisture from, it's amazing the amount of moisture comes from breathing, right? So you've got a drummer in there, he's getting all sweaty, knocking some colour of crap out his kit. The room gets stale and there's no way of extracting it. So I'm hoping the white paint, when it dries, I'll come back in a couple of days and see if there's any mould reappeared. If there has, I think give it a little squirt with bleach, another coat of white paint, and can keep doing that until I know that's definitely dry, definitely set, and there's no mould coming back. Alrighty, so there's a word of warning and a heads up if you're doing this type of thing. You do need airflow in and out your room. Wish me luck. Alright, bye.